Hey guys, welcome to Pete's Ghias. In this video I'm going to talk about everything you'll ever need to know and more about installing the Decklid and hood gaskets, along with the various grommets and drains. Check it out. So this video is a bit of a cautionary tale because I made the mistake of putting the adhesive down without a brush. So it went on very messy, drippy, and runny. You can get these acid brushes on Amazon or maybe from your local hardware store, and these are disposable and will make the job a lot less messy and more professional. Getting ready to install the seal for my Decklid, and I actually have two of them right here. If you look at these, this one on the left here is from West Coast Metric, and it's actually a very good quality seal. The one on the right is from CIP1, and this is advertised as a premium seal made in Germany. So if you look at these side by side, the CIP1 seal from Germany is slightly narrower, it's not as wide, and the opening right here that clips into the seam on the back of the car is a little wider than this seal. I think they'll both work equally as well. I test fitted the CIP1 seal from Germany, and I'm going to use this one because it's slightly narrower. I think it's going to work better for my project because, as you can see, my car is not painted. It's still in primer, although it has been jammed out. And so I think that this seal will work better for me because less of it will be visible, so there's less chance of overspray getting on it. But in all honesty, I think both seals would work fine. And what I've done is I test fit this, and I put these screws here where they fit in the corner. So originally, for my year Ghia at least, there was a metal washer here, and I don't have them. So I replaced it with this nylon washer from the hardware store, and this screw, and these screw into the corner of the Decklid seal and keep it from lifting off because that's a hard right angle turn on the back of the car. So I have some glue, some adhesive to put these down, so I'm going to get started on this right now. I've already cleaned out this channel and cleaned the dust and the dirt out with some spray away glass cleaner, and this stuff is good because it's ammonia free, so just use anything that's ammonia free if your car is not fully painted like mine. It's still half in primer, so I don't want to contaminate paint. And just make sure you don't use those blue shop towels, use terry cloth instead. And I also bought this really expensive tube of 3M 1300 high performance rubber and gasket adhesive because this stuff is rated for high temperatures, and there's high temperatures here around the motor. And I have heard about these gaskets falling off after you run the car and you open the deck lid. The gasket just flies out, and that's because the adhesive is not heat tolerant, so I'm using this stuff. All right, this stuff looks like yellow snot. I have a feeling this is going to be really messy. So as you can see, as the adhesive goes down, it's making a bit of a mess because I didn't have those brushes. I'm not above showing my mistakes if it helps others out there from going down the dark path of Karmann Ghia destruction. I want you all to be successful in your various restorations. Okay. I'm gonna work quickly and try to get some of this on the gasket. The idea is to get it on both surfaces and then have it tack up a little bit and then glue it down before it dries. The Decklid seal fits in the bottom of the opening like the letter U, and I've already marked it on the left and the right where the seal should begin. So I'm starting from the upper right and working my way down. I get the screw into the right corner, work my way across to the left, put the screw in the left corner, then work my way up to the top. Then start clamping it down and firmly setting it into place. All right, so the gasket is glued in place, and I kind of did a messy job working alone, and with this adhesive I had to work quickly and it kind of got everywhere. But I'm using some clothespins and some clamps to hold the gasket in place until this stuff dries, and I think this should be good to go. I'll just do a little cleanup and this will be looking presentable. And in the corners underneath here, there's my screw and my plastic washer that replaces the metal washer, which I don't have. But these screws and washers are important because otherwise this gasket would just pop right out. There would be no chance of it holding in place along that right angle there on the left side and here on the passenger side. So this is good to go, and I'm going to move on to the hood. But before I get to the hood, I have to install this small rubber grommet in the back. There's a pair of them, and they're called rear apron plugs. And then in the front, there's a pair of grommets called hood stops, and they keep the hood from slamming into the car. Just a little bit of a rubber buffer in there. And then next are the J-tubes or drain tubes. And those channel rainwater from the hood, draining it into the tube and out the inner fender. If they're clogged or missing, it can cause rust issues around the hood. And now we're ready for the hood seal. This is an original seal off the 72 Karmann Ghia, and I kept this because it's still in good condition, and I would actually totally reuse this were it not for the fact that there's a bunch of glue and paint and gunk stuck on the back. So if I could figure out a way to get this off without damaging it, I would totally reuse this. Maybe not on this car, but on another project. And also the corners, the interesting thing is the corners of this are blocked so that they fit into the hood opening. Well, you know, original from factory. So can't really get good quality like that anymore with reproduction parts. Very often they don't have like those small details that make it easy to install. And right here you can see this little hole here in the gasket. See that little hole? And that was where the screw went to hold it in place in the upper right and left hand corner of the gasket, hold it down to the hood opening. So I am not going to use this. And this seal I bought from West Coast Metric a couple years ago. And unfortunately, because it's been in storage for a couple of years and I just sort of left it in a box or wrapped up like this, so it got damaged from sitting around. So it's all sort of distorted and kinked. So that's unfortunate, but I do still think that West Coast Metric makes an excellent product. So still a great company. I don't know what happened with this part. I would just say be careful about leaving things wrapped up in a box because they could get damaged. So set this aside. So this gasket right here, I purchased from, believe it or not, CIP1. And they do sell some excellent products. You just have to look at their website and see where the stuff is made. So this one came from Germany and it was pretty pricey. I forgot what I paid for it, but it was like $60 or something. And it even comes with these cutouts already in place for the J-tubes. So I know exactly where this should lay down. And then as with the Decklid opening, I got some washers, these plastic washers from the hardware store, and these screws. So these will go into the upper right and left hand corner to hold this in place in the hood opening, because unlike the original seal that I took off at 72, this does not have a blocked corner. So I do have to make this turn. And as you can see, it just want to like, it'll probably want to kink and lift off. So I'm probably going to use some clamps and things. And obviously this screw will stay permanently installed in the car, just like it was original. Okay, so I'm getting started on the hood gasket, and it's my intention not to make a big mess with adhesive like I did in back. And I'm putting my hood gasket down, and I'm about quarter way into it, and I realized that the holes for the drain tubes have been shifted, and the whole thing is way off center. Okay, it looks like I screwed up really badly here. The holes for the drain tubes are not lined up, so I have to yank it off. And as I'm doing that, as you can see, it's making a kind of a mess with the glue. It's like going everywhere. So I have to reposition it, but thankfully it wasn't too bad. I managed to get it in, but I'll leave that mistake in so you can learn from me to always put a mark or a piece of tape down so you get it in the right way. So here we go. The gasket is in place. I've got a million clamps holding it down. I started with the wrong corner in the J-tube. I put the driver's side opening over here on the passenger side, so I had to lift it off and shift it over. So that was a little embarrassing, but this stuff should pull right off without too much of a problem. This will clean up well. You don't have to use high temperature adhesive up front. You can also use 3M black super weather strip adhesive. You just have to be careful because it can get a little messy, so don't forget your brushes like I did. Just because I have a YouTube channel doesn't mean I know anything.